we had one of our guys that was in this room, and a really good guy, and he was struggling, and he was having trouble, and but he just couldn't stick to a trading plan, and he couldn't stick to what was going on, and he was just trading emotionally. And unfortunately, I had to tell him that I don't think he should be a trader and he should stop trading because he had been down a significant amount of money. And he contacted me a couple of days ago and he said, you know what? I'm down even more, well into the six figures. Uh, he goes, I didn't listen to you. And now I'm really screwed up. So I saw that. And then I saw a couple of guys on Twitter, some older traders, just going on and on about how this, even when you're up, you're not going to be up and you're going to blow up your account and you're going to do all this stuff. And honestly, I just thought, oh my God, what a bunch of horse shit. Because this is a business and we have to conduct ourselves in a business like manner. And sometimes we're going to make money, sometimes we're going to lose money. But what we're going to do is we're definitely going to make sure that we don't blow up accounts, that we don't do certain things. And I want to get into and build this out. And this is going to be like a working group because there are guys in this room who've been trading retail for a long time. They have a lot of input and they have a lot to contribute. We've got people like Jerry. We've got guys in here who've spilt the blood and they know what it's been like. And we're going to work on developing the habits of consistent profitability, right? And we're going to have a couple of things, right, that we're going to look at. You know, I don't want to hear the thing is when I was robbing from you guys and I didn't know you guys, it didn't bother me when you guys lost money because I didn't even know you guys existed. Then, I had a problem where I was humbled in a big way, right? And that humility made me see what other people go through. And it's absolutely, for me, it's gut wrenching to see somebody lose their house, um, be down 200, 300 grand, when they shouldn't even be trading with more than $2,000. What the hell are they doing trading with 200 grand, right? It's like giving a monkey a machine gun, right? It's not going to end well. So I needed to put something together, not only how to trade, where to put the stop, where to look at the risk, how to make money every day, but how to keep that money, right? How to keep that money, how to not be vulnerable to your ego, right? How to protect your capital from your ego, right? How to read the market conditions so you know when I should be trading, when I should be trading size, right? What kind of trader am I? What kind of environments do I feel comfortable in, right? Do I have the wherewithal to know when I should stop trading, when I should push it, right? And all it is it's the ability to make intelligent business decisions, right? And we have to work on this and we have to be aware of this because what happens in trading is a lot of people will start this stuff and they'll go, you know what? It's okay. I'll blow up my account and that's fine, right? But that's not fine. That builds bad habits and that builds this. There is if you look at the older guys on Twitter, a lot of them just rant and rant and rant. And there are some retail traders that have been out there for like 15, 20 years who still don't actually understand what creates the chart. And they go and do stupid things like short Tesla and blow up their account, right? And then they put on a video of how they lost $300,000 and everybody says they're a great guy. because they're showing their losses. And I find that just stupid, right? I'll make no bones about it. Because I was raised in this business. And if you made decisions like that, you wouldn't last a New York second on a trade desk, right? There are some things that just go against common sense in trading, and we're going to explore all this stuff, and we're going to put together a package because I want to make you guys, so untouchable that sure, you're going to get stopped out. Sure, you're going to have a bad day, but you're going to have the wherewithal to realize, you know what? I'm not trading well. Something's off. I'm going to chill out. Or the business conditions are not conducive to the type of trades that I take. So that doesn't mean you have to trade you stop trading. You just wait for the order flow to change a little bit, right? Being able to pick up the subtleties of when the market is inviting, when the market is saying, get the F out of here, right? How to read the market so you can manage your expectations when you're in a position. How to use things like stops to tell you whether or not there's enough buying to take the market to where you want to go, right? Giving back 6 months of profits, why the hell are you trading so large, right? Why are you not keeping your account small and trading for income, right? Because you're trying to swing for the fences. And in this market environment, it's really easy to get carried away because there's a ton of cheap money in this market. It makes people really brave. They see stocks like this crazy GME going, to $300, $400, and people are, I made $200,000 in an afternoon. And sure, everybody wants that, you know? And I've done that. I've made 150 grand before lunch. And sure, it feels great, right? But you have to manage your expectations in this business and treat it like a business. So, we're going to go through things like trade execution and management, risk management, which we use structure, how to read the market and know, okay, what's going on right now, right? There's a business that's creating the chart. So do we have the awareness to say, this is happening right now. How do I take advantage of it? I'm looking at the situation. You know what? There's no in for me to take advantage of this situation. Like right now, right? If you look at the market right now, we opened, went up and down for a little bit. U period went and ran the stops over that T+2 high, right? Right here. You guys can see my screen, right? Just let me know if you can't. Right? So this is, right? This is a business tactic called a stop run. And what that does, it allows the people who bought all of this position to add to it and then run the stops a little bit to sell a little bit to lighten the load, so to speak, right? So what you need to look out for is here's just one example of using stops to see what the market's going to do. If the market runs a stop by one tick, it means there are not that many people who have short buy cover orders here. There was only 93 here. And I don't know, you nose print guys, what did that print? Did that print on the bid or the offer, right? So what that is a stop run. Is there going to be any potential buying, right? So it printed on the offer. So somebody got bought in. Somebody's stop got ran. 93 contracts. Could be a bunch of people, right? Could be one order. We don't know. We don't care. All we know is they didn't have the juice to get over 39.71 and stay over it. Now, it's Globex. So we kind of have a checklist. It's Globex. It's Globex, and the market closed very strong today. So that goes into our method of thinking, right? Because this is the environment that we're trading in. So knowing that it's Globex, knowing that the market closed strong, knowing that wholesale has all the inventory, and given that Globex is so bloody long, we're here till 9 o'clock in the morning. What is the odds that that market is going to take 71, go to 74, 76, 77? I'd say best case scenario, we may get up to today's high, right? So if you're looking to take a long, you need good trade location, especially people who have small accounts. So here's one thing. If you buy it up here, there's a probability that the market will come down and take that stop and take that stop. So that is thinking tactically because they've already made their move up. And that move up is dependent on this level 39.69 and a half. So if we could stay above 39.69 and a half, there might be a good probability that we get up to 73. But is that worth the risk early in the session? So thinking like that, and I'm not trying to make you guys think so much that you never take a trade. And that happened to me. So I went through it. So I'm with you there. Sometimes I'd overthink things and then I'd miss the trade. And I understand how that works. But learning the environment that we're in and when to execute is really, really important. What I would look for in an instance like this now is for maybe a little move up to 73 and then a retracement back under 71 and then take out those stops and look for a long a little bit lower. Now, conversely, if the market does not come back in and it accepts over one of our levels here, like 39.76, then you can take a long from 76 to 81 because there's no supply up here. Right? Dissecting it is very important. And you guys can use your VWAP and your candles and all of that stuff. And the thing is, it doesn't really matter how you dissect it. But the thing is that you do dissect it, right? Also things like chop. When markets trade in choppy conditions, why are they trading in choppy conditions? And should you be in there, right? If a market's choppy and it's really choppy and they're running stops back and forth and they're trading kind of dirty, and you've got an account with maybe 2 grand in it and you're trading a couple of micros, you really shouldn't be trading in that. You should be waiting until they finish building their position and then taking the trade. We saw a very, very glaring example of that today as they built the position and then ran the stops before Powell started speaking. Right. And I was telling someone J is going to be the period whether it either goes down and corrects inventory or it runs higher. And it jammed straight up in J period. Why? Because that's a time of day where things happen. Right. If inventory corrected early, I said in the room that inventory corrected early in H. I came down, hit the base of that price probe, went one tick underneath it and back up. When J opened, I went to go buy it. And by the time I put my order in, it was here. And it just took off, right? Like you zapped it. And, Raz was very, very, did something really, really good. Raz was like Marine Force Recon. He was out there saying, you know what? Don't short this thing. What if you had shorted? What if you had shorted this thing when it went to 40? with no stop, right? A lot of people do things like that. That is a common trade for a novice trader to take and get destroyed because the market has all of the inventory. They spent 5 hours, right? It's a nightmare. You short it right at the time where it rips, and it rips hard because there's no supply. The only supply is entirely owned by the wholesale component, right? So market awareness, like when Flatline's out there fighting whoever he's fighting at 50,000 feet, he has to have situational awareness, right? He has to know if there's a fighter jet behind him, in front of him. He has to know where he is in the sky, right? He has to understand the dynamics of the dogfight and where he is in that situation, right? And the same goes with trading because trading is trench warfare, right? There is nothing kind about what this market will do to your life and your account. It will screw with your rent, food, water, and lights if you let it. And not on my watch. Not on my watch. So now you see this thing just so now, for example, say you're a short seller and you're going to, oh, I'm going to short the T plus two high. And you see price action like that, and it's really sticky, right? If you say shorted 39.71 and your stop was 73, just for example, right? And that market cannot come back in and run that you stop, you're going to lose money on your short. If you're long and it can't run the stop at the previous day high, you got to get out of your long, right? The stop thing, I remember when I first discovered where the stops were in these markets, I thought that was really cool. And now what we've done is we've taken it further because we can tell if there's enough buying strength to run that stop and propel the market up. And when the market comes down, is there enough strength here? Like we ran the stop at the close, but only one tick. So we only had the supply to run the stop two ticks. Sorry, not one. Exactly. Right? Exactly. You trade the flow of what's happening right now. Once you get that Marvin the mind reader thing out of your head, you can breathe, eh? It takes that anxiety away, right? The anxiety is what gets you. The anxiety of trying to think about what's going to happen and try and be on the right side of that. Exactly. I mean, not that I know anything about meditation, but that sounds really good, Raz. Exactly, Marco. Right. So this is not like a preaching kind of group. This is a group where we share ideas. I've heard that. I got to try it, you know. And the whole thing about this is I want to build this room where you guys and ladies aren't a slave to the things that happen to other traders, right? And I think we can, some things, of course, sometimes you're going to get excited. Sometimes you're going to take a trade emotionally, right? Um, is it really? Eh? Okay, I'll try it, DCP. These are things that and we'll work on this every week. Like every Wednesday or every Thursday, we'll have one of these sessions, and we'll work through problems, right? And people will go, this is what I encountered this week. How can we work on that, right? And if I don't have the answer, we'll go find somebody who does, right? It's very important that we get to that point where we bring people into this environment and actually give them a chance at making money. You know, uh, my girlfriend said something very something that I never even thought of. You know, if you make 3 points on two e-minis every day or every couple of days, that adds up. And that is more profitable than most traders are anywhere on Twitter. You know, what the hell is that? Phone's never made that noise before. I swear sometimes. Right? If you focus on the job at hand, right? Discipline and trading psychology. And unfortunately, Len, sometimes psychology takes place of knowledge. Because I find a lot of people don't have that psychological problem once they understand the business. Because if you understand the business, you wouldn't be freaked out. You know, it's like going into surgery. If your doctor, like if you go in for brain surgery and your doctor's sitting there smoking a cigarette going, I don't know, man, I'm kind of nervous about this. Oh, I don't know, right? How comfortable are you going to feel? Not too comfortable. There's a business. The business that's happening right now is they're taking the position that they bought at the end of the day and they're selling it at a higher price. It's a little harder to see on the wax, but you can see that position that came in at the end of the day, right? It's up here. And you see that big bump in the volume? That's this here. Military doctors. And they're taking that position, and you see it's under VWAP, and then you take it above VWAP to sell it. And of course, the market goes up, and if you had bought it, you would have made money here, right? Just when I said you shouldn't have, right? And that's going to happen. The other thing is, one thing that um, is very important in trading is the ability to admit you are wrong without it influencing your psyche. You're going to be wrong a lot. I was just wrong. I thought the market was going to go take out that U stop at the low. Am I upset about it? No. Why am I not upset about it? Because it's telling me something about the order flow. When the market doesn't do what you think it's going to do, and Peter, I learned this from Peter Resnicek, so I have to give him credit for that. When the market doesn't do what you think it's going to do, it's trying to talk to you, right? It's trying to communicate through you through that chart. And instead of fighting it, sit and listen. Exactly, Alberto. And earlier I said that they're going to buy it up here and then come down to value area high. That didn't happen. This was the tell. That the trade was to the upside. Oh, Mark Douglas is the best, man. I wish he was still alive. You know, yeah, that T period looked 2 ticks below the close and popped right back up. Every time you type that bullfighter, I start typing in a symbol. What does D stand for? Delinquent in filings, right? You started watching Billions. The other thing I wanted to quickly touch on is when you're a new trader jumping from market to market. People will jump from the ES to the NASDAQ to the RSOL, and that's okay to go look at other markets and see how they function. But I strongly suggest if you are not consistently making money in one market, do not jump to another one because all you're going to do is trade badly in that one. You might get lucky a little bit, then you're going to jump back to another one, right? You're going to be a bad trader in every single market instead of a good trader in just one, right? And Raz is right. The NASDAQ is very appealing to people because they see these massive ranges, right? The problem is you don't have the ability to trade that range. You know, listen, if I don't trade the NASDAQ and I got 29 years in this, billions of dollars of order flow, 200 deals under my belt, short squeezes that would make your head spin. If I don't trade the NASDAQ, what the hell is a 2-month trader doing trying to trade the NASDAQ? Right? They just don't have the ability. The NASDAQ is a thin market, is one of the thinnest markets there is. And the reason that it's thin is there's no order flow in it. Like it's traded 8,000 contracts in 2 hours. Okay, we hit the previous day high to the tick. What happened was in 2012, I had a massive heart attack. I died and had a quintuple bypass. So in 2013, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop. 2 rabbits, nice, Chimsters. In 2013, I thought, okay, I'm going to learn how to retail trade. One of my buddies who had a software company, financial software company, gave me a job to teach people how to trade using their software. And I'd used their software for 14 years. So I started doing this and I quickly discovered that I didn't know what the hell I was doing, nor did I know how to communicate it to these people, right? Sure, I'm a trader and I can manipulate stocks, but retail trading is completely different. So I looked at this guy, Stephen Bigelow, and his candles, and I just, was like, dear God, right? I couldn't figure it out. Luckily, one of the young kids that I was teaching how to trade and read level 2 and stuff like that, he had started futures and had started watching Tasty Trade. And he said, watch Tasty Trade, and that's where I found Shadow Trader, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because they had these kooky charts. I was intrigued by the charts right away. It looked like alien hieroglyphics. I'd never seen one. And I've been on every trade desk there is, right? You know, I've been in the bowels of Goldman, Spear Leads, Knight Securities, Citadel. There's nowhere do you see this stuff, right? But what fascinated me, okay, now we're leaving single prints in U. Let's see if that sticks. So the supply is shut off. Let's see what kind of stop run we get over today's high. So, but what fascinated me was how calm Resnicek and Bradagunnis were. It's like they had just smoked a joint. And every other trading people, any kind of software, mentoring, all those guys, right? All those guys act like they just did a 8-ball, right? And they're doing rails and taking trades. And I don't like that because I wanted to relax, right? I view retail trading as something relaxing, right? Because it beats the hell out of doing deals and screaming at people. So that's when I discovered Profile, and that's when, thank God, I found Jim Dalton, right? Who's like the Oracle. Only thing about Dalton was that he teaches floor traders how to come off the floor. So he expects people to know what things are like inventory. Because everyone's got an inventory when they come off the floor, right? But if you're a retail trader, you have no idea what inventory is. You don't know what a local is, and you don't know what an institutional is, and you don't know, You know, all of those things that in the business move price, retail people are not told about that. Retail people are still sold this stupid thing that if I win on a trade, somebody has to lose. Utter nonsense. Complete BS. I find a lot of these equities very thin, Marco. I find Apple, uh, Microsoft, all of these big companies uh, that weigh the index as heavy are very thinly traded. They are not liquid, right? See, the reason I know about, look, so we ran the stops 3 ticks and now we're back underneath the previous day high. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look and see whether those single prints fill. If we do, they have supply. If we don't, the thing keeps going higher, right? See, the reason why liquidity is so important for me is because since 1993, my job was to create liquidity, right? Greg, Marco, and DCP have $150 million worth of stock, 150 million shares. Take all that zero sum game and all that stuff, it's all bullshit and throw it out the window. Okay? It's a business that you buy something, somebody sells it to you, and they buy it back from you when you're tired of holding it. That's all it is. If you start thinking in game theory and all that stuff, it's all bullshit. There's a business that moves the market. And the quicker you get your head around that, and the quicker you cut all that crap out of your head, it'll be much better for you. There used to be a TV show called The Paper Chase, and that old guy, what was named Professor Kingsfield, would say, "You come in here with a mind full of mush, and we teach you how to think like a lawyer." Same thing here. We teach you how to think like a trader in the business and be a pro, right? All that game theory and all that stuff doesn't apply. Somebody has a position, they're going to mark the market up to sell it. You want to be on the right side of that move, just like they did today, right? Random walk theory and all that nonsense, right? You can take math, fuzzy logic, do it all. But in the end, some dude's got a position, right? Aren't those like Muppets? Just joking. Okay. Some dude has a position or some lady has a position. She's going to put that position together and then ram it up there so people chase it and you can sell it. That's all it is. When people are tired of buying it, the market drops because they won't support the bid and they're holding the market up to sell what they bought. Just like advertising, right? Well, you have, say I've got a 12 container loads of toasters. I'm going to take out an ad in the paper saying that I have toasters for sale. Once I have sold a good amount of those toasters, I'll pull the ad. Why should I pay for advertising? The big ass bid when we hold a market up is advertising because price is advertising. So these guys in the overnight bought a crap ton of paper between 39.65 and 69. They marked it up and they're selling it at 73. And they've got a really big bid at 71 holding the market up. So people will think that it's a good buy up there. Right. And once you, how do you identify direction? Well, the business, what I just said. So if you know that they bought all of this, Len, and this tells you that there's no supply to the downside, what's the direction when you're in this area? Up. So how do you trade that? You're long, your stop is under that T low, and your first target is here, here, and here, right? And when it stalled out in that area, I probably would have gotten out. Because if I was long at 39.66 on 3 E-mini contracts, and I was out at 39.69 and 70, I take that money. I'm not going to throw 300-400 bucks out of bed for eating crackers, right? I have the humility to say that $400 is a good trade, or 500 bucks is a good trade, or even $120 is a good trade. You have to have the humility to take profits. Taking profits, I find, is directly proportional to your humility. Nice call, Raz. Be humble enough to pay yourself, right? There's no such thing as house money, right? Aha. But your biggest issue is not letting the profitable trade, but in what kind of environment? In some environments, Greg, you might have saved your ass by taking profits early. Then that goes to how to read the market environment so you can manage your expectations when you're in a position, right? So right now we are one time framing up with single prints. We hit my 39.76. What's next on the ticket? Oh yeah, we got 78.80 and then 39.85. Remember that 4,015 is a massive level. It's halfway to our target. And say, here's the thing too, right? Say you're trading and you're making 2 points, 3 points, and you're losing six. What you should be doing is you should be getting out of your trades when you're down 2 or 3 points. I'm still on that capital. You sweat for it, man. You bleed for it. That's not the house's money, baby. That's yours, right? When when you take losses, if you do this long enough, this business is gonna take a little bit of your soul, okay? Right? It's it's gonna make you question everything about your life. It's gonna take you to some dark places sometimes. Pay yourself for that. 2 to 3 points, 5 trades, right? That's a serious living, man. That's more than most people make, and that's more than any trader on Twitter makes, right? Do not be fooled by these guys who say that they're making 100 points in a day. And the thing is, you can scale your contracts up, right? You start with one, two, three. So 3 points is 150 bucks times three times four. That's not bad. Of course, you are going to get stopped out. That's a business expense. You cannot enter any kind of business and not expect expenses. Now let's talk about stops. Stops are telling you information that you are not reading the price action crop properly, or you are trading at the wrong time, or you're trading at the wrong place, or you're trading with unreasonable expectations. Stops are also protecting your account. They're an insurance policy. If you had a McDonald's or a Subway, or if you had any kind of a store, you would have to pay monthly for insurance. Your stop is insurance that protects your capital. All you have to do in trading is reframe how you think about things and it'll take that anxiety down. Getting stopped out on a trade doesn't mean you're a shitty trader or a crappy human being. All it means is that you read it wrong. And the market's trying to tell you, hey, buddy, uh, 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 uh. Timing was not right, cartel. Say you're in a short too early, right? Say you're trying to short this market right now. And you're shorting early in the night. We're in all-time high, no overhang territory. The NQ's a widowmaker, man. I traded it last week with someone who was upside down in it and traded them out of a problem. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in here? That's all I could think of is like, why the hell did you think you could trade this? Common sense would dictate that a new trader, that's like me going to the bonsai pipeline when it's 25 feet and pumping, grab a surfboard and jump in there and try and hit the tube. I deserve to get my ass kicked and slammed into the coral reef because I have no respect for the ocean. NASDAQ is like pipeline, like Jaws, right? Like those really heavy surfs where you don't get in there unless you are a pro, right? Stuck in an underwater cave. Put it to you this way: if you're not making money trading the ES, you're not going to go to the NASDAQ and start making money. It's going to eat you for lunch. I've never surfed a wave that big. Jesus, that's cool. I'm not a big wave surfer. I just like going out there and just chilling. I fall off a lot, and that's cool. But I would not have the audacity to go and jump into a market like the Nas or into an ocean that has 30-foot waves. Yeah, boogie board works fine, man. So what's the plan, right? As we do this and we evolve, first of all, in the mornings we look at what kind of market. Yeah, could you guys maybe do that privately? Because that's a very intricate thing, and I can go and explain that in great detail, right? But yeah, just DM, right? Thanks. So these are the things. The plan now, pre, is to first of all, when we are trading, put a framework together, and that's why I wanted to have this thing with you guys, so we can kind of put this together. I'll make some notes, right? And then next week you'll have something typed up and written, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to put together a document that says, okay, how to read the market environment and manage your expectations when before you take a trade and when you're in a position. So the market environment right now is we're at all-time highs. There's no overhang. We have single prints and one time framing up, right? People are having a hard time with good entries, right? And that's why I'm trying to show people on a candlestick, because there are a lot of people who are having a hard time with good entries who aren't using profile. And it's harder to see it because where you see, like, say for example, if you're taking a short here and your stop is here, well, your first target is that stop. So how do you translate that into a candle, right? Here it's very clear. I can see it instantly, right? The structure just tells you right away, right? That's why I put this next to it and try and go like, okay, so you're short when it comes back under 96. Your stop is just here, and your first target is here, because if it cannot run that target or it can't run that previous day high, it's going to do this and go back up. See, exactly, GK. That was perfect, right? What's wrong with 5 points? Seriously. On one contract, that's $300. It's beautiful. Two contracts, $600, done. It's beautiful. It's wonderful, right? That's a beautiful trade, GK. I remember when you hit that, right? With advertising, and see, that's the problem with advertising, because what I realized was that advertising in stock trading education was like advertising that penny stock people used to do. Get people all hyped up. Come and I will sell you my DVD on how to learn the level 2 for $700. Really? That's shameless. You're gonna charge somebody $700 to teach them how to read a level 2 order book, and you don't even have the knowledge to actually teach it properly. I've seen stuff like that, right? Trading is hard enough as it is without people with their hand in your pocket. That's why we like to keep the cost of this room cheap, so people can access the information and get CR chart and keep it like under 150 a month, right? That's why we do what we do, you know. It's very important that you guys learn. And the other thing too I wanted to talk about a little bit is when you are starting off trading, right? You are learning, so you're not going to make money. Get that out of your head, right? Yeah, and that exactly, man. I started out with nothing. I made a lot of money, and then 9/11 happened. And guess what? I went from having two Porsches, a penthouse, a motorcycle, and all this stuff to living above an Irish bar and taking the bus to work, and I had to work for a guy that looked like Colonel Sanders after being one of the top 5 traders in the city. Oh man, it gets taken away. We pay huge taxes up here, right? A couple of clients ding you, right? The client takes you for 150,000 here, 200 grand there. It adds up, right? Also, when you're 28 and you're rolling and you're making 200 grand a month, you think it's going to last forever, right? George Best. So you do things like that and you learn, right? And that's why comes my lesson of, like Raz is a perfect example. He's had 2 amazing days, maybe even an amazing week. A couple of weeks ago, he might have had a tough week. So you know what he should do this week? He should take the money that he made out of his brokerage account. Pay a bill with it, right? Always, always pretend you're the underdog in the fight because you always will be in this business. Even if you're trading with $20 million, that's sweet piss all, right? Because there are people that are swinging billions in this market, trillions, size crushes. So always, always, always take money and pay yourself, right? The other thing too about brokerage firms, and I don't mean to sound um, like a nervous Nelly, but I've seen brokerage firms, clearing firms go down. Always don't leave all your cash in a brokerage account, right? So say you put in 5 grand or 10 grand and you run it up and it starts getting to 25, 30,000. Knock it back down to 10. Oh, I want to trade more size. No, you don't. You're not ready for it. You're on that initial run. We had a guy in here last year, really, really good guy. And he learned a lot from me. And in the first month, he was here, he made $70,000 trading off my levels and doing stuff. Made 70 grand in a month. 2 weeks later, he lost it all and more. How? He got too big for his britches. He thought he could trade like a market maker and put bids all over the DOM without a stop and just keep averaging down. And trust me, this guy was no slouch, right? He was so like, he was like a well educated, uh, you know, code guy, writing code, all that sort of thing. But he started thinking like he could trade like a market maker and trade size like a market maker. Well, you can't trade like a market maker unless you're paying a brokerage firm for their order flow, right? Here's another thing. Anybody who on Twitter tells you that they trade like a market maker is full of shit because they're not paying AMP futures for your order flow. And that's what a market maker is. They trade against order flow that they're paying for, right? I don't trade like a market maker. I used to feed market makers order flow, but I sure as hell don't try and trade like a market maker when I'm retail trading. That'd be like playing Russian roulette. That's nuts. There's a difference between trading like a market maker and doing business with market makers for 27 years. So we had a nice move over 76. We're coming back into that previous day's range, right? Yeah, they multiple accounts. They've got thousands and thousands of accounts and billions upon billions of dollars. And they're paying your brokerage firm for your orders. So they see all the order flow coming in. Well, truth be told, their grannies are usually pretty good thieves. First look, right, Natty? What are you doing awake? time is it over there? It's like midnight. Payment for order flow is the business model of your capital markets, right? That's what you guys came up with. That's how it works. How do you deal with tilt? Tilt, Wilbrew, is something that will go away the more and more you realize what's going on that's making the chart do what it's doing. Once you realize why we just did this, you won't get tilted as much. And there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Tilt is, I don't know, Natty, it's one of these new terms these young guys have. Tilt is when you get flustered. See, M period on Monday at 3:40 tilted you. Wilbrew. Now I'm going to talk to you like if you were sitting next to me on a trade desk. Everybody else take this with a grain of salt, right? And don't take this personally. What the fuck are you doing? 20 minutes to the close, getting tilted. You're done for the day. You should be closing out your positions and preparing for Globex. That half-hour period is for professionals to clean up their business for the day. You are just getting in the way. You're not supposed to be trading in M period. I'm not allowed to tell you guys not to trade because Steve gets mad at me, right? But the simple fact of the matter is, unless the trade is obvious, M period is not to be traded. It's to be used for preparation, right? If you work at a prop firm, right? Let me go in and take this a bit further. If you work at a prop firm and you are trading M period, they will beat you senseless. Yeah. Like instead of sitting there waiting for your stop to get hit, you know it's going to get hit. You might have just admit you're wrong and take it. It's hard to admit you're wrong, right? And this is from our good friend. This is why you do not trade M period. M period is when business is closing. That's what they tell every trader when they start at a prop firm. He's gone now, but he left us with that, and it comes in very handy. Exactly. So does Chris. Chris doesn't talk about the size he trades, but he hits tens. Don't get in the way of these guys. Yes. 10K. No, 10,000. We have friends who trade that kind of size. I don't make this stuff up. But they have earned it. And they have had the shit kicked out of them. Excuse my language. Okay. Also, when you're trading that kind of size, you have multiple accounts, you have a core position, you trade around it. Right. And you don't start making 150 million a month, 50 million a month just like that just doesn't switch on. There's a lot of pain and suffering that goes into making that kind of money. So these prop traders, man, they don't mess around. Those guys are M period. See, what they're doing at M period is those big heavy guys trading 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 contracts, they're squaring off against the market makers. Because what they're doing is they're trying to figure out where the market maker's inventory is. And if they can get the market maker short, they can jam the market up and push the market up and then get the market makers to buy into their sell. And they can get out of a position. I used to jam market makers all the time. If a market maker screwed me on a trade, right, or if I saw them screwing around in one of my stocks, like if it was bad enough, I would have the ability to like bankrupt their firm and put them on the street. So things like M period, you avoid. M period is when you are getting rid of all your positions, flattening out, and you're acting like a pro. Now, the volume point of controls up here, that low, that low, and that low, and that low are all susceptible. You guys ever heard of the Panama Papers? It's my old client list. There's a guy in there. I can't say his name. We have a nickname for him. His name is the Crippler. And he takes down clearing firms and brokerage houses. And they'll throw his ass in jail. And from in jail, he'll grab two cell phones, put a deal together, and make 20, $30 million and take down a brokerage firm in doing so. These are the kind of people that are out there in these markets. Are those dark pool prints? Exactly. Those are the darkest of pools. Oh, God. So once we're over here, now we're in blue sky, right? I'm hoping that they could come and run those stops. It's not going to happen. They have all the supply. This guy's bad, man. He's just bad. There's another guy that's the same way. They threw him in jail for 10 years. While he was in jail, he made like $175 million. So when they let him out, he said thanks and he took off to a non extradition country. And now they're chasing him and now he's capitalized. You know, I tell these stories because it's a good thing to know. Now, for example, being adaptable, right? I'm going to ramble on, and then you guys can ask questions, we can talk, and then but this is I wanted you guys to know the kind of direction that I'm going in because I really want to establish a framework for making you guys profitable. And anything that you guys can add to that, if you have suggestions, if I can explain something a little bit more clearly, right? I'm starting to groove with these candle wax things now, right? And your deviants and all that crazy stuff you guys do, right? And we'll keep working on this, and it'll be like a working group, right? And that way, we'll be able to, I just want you guys to be able to make a living out of this because you spend so much time and you dedicate so much of your lives to sitting in front of these screens when you could be with your family, with your girlfriend. You putting in the work, you should be rewarded for it, right? My thing is to make people, I just want to see everyone get paid, right? You can use, yeah, you don't have to switch to this, but if you understand, I use this to teach people what's going on in the business, then we can kind of translate it to this. Because, for example, my girlfriend is an anesthesiologist. So she's a doctor and she has also got two PhDs. So she's like a little like her brain is so smart. It's kind of scary how smart she is. So sometimes like she's always trading on a mobile phone, which I would never do. So she doesn't have access to TPO. That's why I'll cut and paste the TPO and show her on the candle what's going on. Like, oh, the stops are here, here, and here. And if they can't get that and you're short, get out. Right? 500 a day is 100K a year. And not every day you're going to make 500. Some days you'll make 1,000. Some days you'll make 200. Some days you'll lose 200. Right? She trades all on mobile. Exactly. Yeah, she could do that and bring somebody back from the dead at the same time. Now that's talent. Let's start out with a couple of $100. Don't sue me, and we'll start with a couple of e-minis. But the thing is, when you're learning how to trade, don't worry about the $500 a day. Use the micro to learn how to trade, so you're not losing $500 a day. She can't bring a laptop into the operating theater. Ugh. But we have a couple of doctors in here, right? They like to trade, cashing checks and fixing necks, right? The thing about greed is, if you think of what you do as going to work every day, your dad's a heart surgeon. Oh, cool. I've had crappy days, and that's why I'll be trading a mini. And I've been in this business since '93, and I'll trade a mini. Oh, cool, Alberto. We got quite the crew in here. We had a securities lawyer, but I think LC scared him away because he kept talking about doing deals. Start on the micro. It's like training wheels. If you have a bad day, you lose $30. How beautiful is that? Sorry, Dennis, what is work every day? What, making money? Of course. Some days you're not going to make money. That's why when you condition yourself to learning how to trade using the micro, you will get used to the fact that some days you're not going to make any money. Just like some days you go fishing, there are no fish. But that's okay, right? The thing is, you need to practice your skills on becoming consistent, paying yourself, having the proper mindset to be able to look at a market and see when to participate in it, when to not, um, not jump from market to market, right? Not give back 6 months of profits in one or two trades. And the other thing that, we'll keep working on is adapting. I've had to adapt many times in life. Little story, when I started in this business, it was right when the time Bre-X Minerals happened. And what happened was it destroyed, there was an entire Canadian mining industry, and European investors and funds and everything were investing billions of dollars in Canadian mining. And sales assistants were making 15 grand a month, right? So if I'm a broker, I was churning 200 grand a month and pay my assistant 15 grand a month and probably flip maybe a couple of trades through her account. So she's making like 20 G's a month. Okay. And this is the one who answers my phone. That's it. Right. So when Bre-X Minerals happened, use one of the smaller firms because they're cheaper commissions. Don't sue me. Because TD's kind of expensive with commissions. They don't give you, you know what, Pre? It's okay. I don't mind those deals. That kind of money. First of all, that kind of money attracts some pretty damn scary people. Uh, when you start slinging 50s and 100s around, and you're moving $100 million from here to there, there's always people who are nosing around getting interested. Um, it's not all it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of stress. Everyone's trying to screw you. Right? My best friend stole $12 million from me. He was like a brother. And about $35 million worth of stock. It happens. It's my fault. You know? Yeah. Another one of my best friends hung himself in 2015. He was one of the best market makers out there. Check this out. He made $14 million that year. That's why I'm very adamant to keep you guys out of the emotional hell out of this business because I've seen what it does to people. Once I was doing a short squeeze, we had the stock at $21. I had 1 million shares on the bid from a European hedge fund. We would have taken the stock to 50 that day on a short squeeze. The CEO went and said something stupid. The SEC halted the stock. One of my buddies went home, put a gun in his mouth, and pulled the trigger. So I kind of know what it's like to have bad days. Yeah. Right. And so we have to be adaptable. We've got to really, really look after our emotional health in this business. Pay yourself. Be intelligent about these things. Make good business decisions. If you're like a surfer, you sit on the ocean, you sit and look at the ocean and it's chopping you up and it's taking people and breaking them in half. Don't go jump in, right? That's why I do what I do. And we're going to put together something really nice. And, you know, we'll make money every day and then be able to enjoy life. Make this crazy business work for us instead of us being slaves to it. How many times have you taken a position that doesn't work and you got to babysit it? And you're up through the night just trying to get back to flat, right? And your wife's talking to you and you're completely ignoring her because all you can do is look at the screen, right? I want to save you guys from that crap. Right? We're supposed to make money in this business to give ourselves a better life. Okay, how long have I been? Oh my God, I've been blabbing on for an hour and a half now. Okay, well, okay. What do you do when you intend to move? You think they'll hit my stop in reverse, and I move it and it doesn't reverse. It means you've been in front of the screen too long, GK. You need to flatten out, go get some air, come back, and you'll be a little bit more clear-headed. Exactly. And don't trade tired. Oh my God, that is 100% right on the nose, Marco. Or drunk. Oh, right, you jokers. Anybody have any questions? So we'll go through, and this will be a weekly thing. We'll have another Q&A tomorrow where you guys can ask more questions, and we'll dig into the execution and the management and things like that. I just wanted to talk about just some of the things that we're going to be covering in a way that just helps us, uh, you know, get consistent, stay consistent, pay ourselves, and it's just habits of consistent profitability. If you lock your shares at a higher price, does that matter? How do you mean? That's an interesting question. Like if you own stock in your account and you want to, or no, wait, I'll let you explain. Eric, I I don't even understand that question. That's definitely that's above my pay grade, brother. A caller. That's a question for Chris Hanks. I'm completely unfamiliar with that. I'm a very, very peanut butter and jelly trader. Buy it, sell it, short it, buy it back. But Chris, if you DM Chris, he'll definitely be able to help you. That's another thing about me. If I don't know that, I'll never try and make something up. Hit Chris up for that. She has she's done a lot of stuff there, and if you don't have the time, buy her a cup of coffee, and she'll just give you all the charts. She's really good. I mean, she's she's been with us from the beginning, and she just has a great way of helping people, and she's sharp too. She's really sharp. No, I did not. Jade Pasture. Greedy bastard days are days where we look at the market environment and find out that there's big buyers in it, and we can buy a position and hold it through the day and let them take us for a ride. And it's going to be a slow ride because it's just going to grind up. And it's not a trend day. Greedy bastard day is not a trend day. Greedy bastard day is when you get B profiles and then a move up, kind of like what we did today, but not that violent, right? And more swing, right? But we haven't had any institutional presence. Um, I used to call it the Vatican bid. We haven't had the Vatican bid in this market for a long time. And maybe when we hit 4,000, somebody will sell something and, it'll balance out down and they'll start stepping in and buying again. The other thing is these markets are so thin that how the hell are you going to put a big position together? As soon as you start buying, you're going to move the market on yourself. The higher markets go, the thinner they get. Just like, when you go higher, higher in the atmosphere, the air is thinner and thinner. Maybe that'll bring them out. I don't know, pause. Right? But if you think about it like you had to trade a big position, right? Say you had to buy 25 million shares of something and the thing only trades 15, 20 million a day. How the hell are you going to buy 25 million shares without moving the stock from say $50 to 150 on yourself? You got to work that order for a long time. Pick away at it here, pick away at it there. Because they want to buy that and put it away for 20, 30 years. Disco Dud is looking after her family. She'll be back. Trend days I found were the hardest thing for me to do, Greg. And lately, have you noticed that we don't have true trend days? We'll have a trend day and then it'll all come back, which really screw with people because they start getting into greedy bastard mode and they think that that dip down is a buy and it's a liquidation and they get wiped out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did have one, right? But they're few and far between where you get like an actual true trend day. And anytime we say trend day in the room, we jinx it. Yeah, exactly. And you subscribe to the premise that the only buying is only to take something up to sell it, like they're doing now. It's not a real trend. So like this market action right now. The only reason why we're not retracing is there's no supply up here. right? So these guys can push the limit as much as they want. We're already always adjusting to markets. Like I was saying, when I was a trader and starting out, I focused on US stocks. I became successful really quickly. All the Canadian market had blown up because somebody unfortunately fell out of a helicopter and the entire Canadian mining market stopped. And the entire industry just went dead. You couldn't raise a plug nickel if you had a mining deal because nobody trusted the results. The geologist from the mining company. You ever see the movie Gold, Matthew McConaughey? It's a bad, bad version of the truth of that story. Google Bre-X Minerals. It was the first deal I ever worked on. It always happens. I'm always at the middle of this crap. Like, I don't know. I just like stumble ass backwards into these things. I'm a rookie. I don't know what's going on. My client, the Penguin, had about, oh God, I think he had 3 or 5 million shares at 15 cents or 30 cents. And we sold those 5 million shares. And he had more too in a Swiss account. I don't know how much he had there. And the stock went from 20 cents to $210 on the New York Stock Exchange. So he made about 400 million bucks. And then one day the geologist fell out of the helicopter and they found out that the results were tainted. And the stock went from $260 to zero and took down an entire mining industry with it for 10 years because nobody trusted drill results. It was nuts. We were out. We were short. Let's not go there, Gabe. I was never in Indonesia, so I have no clue what happened to him. All I know, I need to know. That's the first deal I ever worked on. So when I tell you guys I've been there, oh, I've been there. That's the first time I ever saw somebody make $400 million like in right in front of my eyes. It was fascinating to watch. I was a rookie, Raz. I was a hired geek. I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. To the mouth. Of course, yeah, no, we'll post the recording. We got a little bit into story time at the end, but just we got to lighten it up here. But yeah, I tell you that's. I can give you a couple of Googleable ones. Some I can't tell you though. But yeah, X stop is running the stops again. I've never been in a helicopter. And okay, guys, here are the levels for the night to the upside. Now remember, none of these damn things have ever been traded at. So please take them with a grain of salt and some pepper, right? See you guys. Go be normal. Have a good night. Have fun. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. Have a great night, guys. Stay out of trouble, Gabe. Don't get caught.